Hello, folks. This is Jack McNiel Jr. with the Kempner Church of Christ, and we've been looking at the Sermon on the Mount, and we're in the section of Matthew chapter 5 that deals with a better righteousness. That the righteousness of Christ's disciples has to exceed the mere outward appearance-looking righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. And so, in order to have a better righteousness, Jesus points out a number of things in this section where it has been said by those of old, but he says unto you, or I say unto you, is what he says, in which he is giving really the proper interpretation of what has already been misinterpreted in either teaching or practice by the Jews. And so the fourth one of these statements is found in Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 42, where it says, There ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn him to the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn not thou away. And so this first statement that's made there, that you've heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, that's found in Exodus chapter 21 and verse 24, in which God is talking about the righteous retribution that the crime should, or the punishment should fit the crime, is really what he's talking about. He's not talking about personal retribution in that it's carried out by the correct authorities. And so, but these folks, they were using eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, like many do today, by the idea of they're going to take personal revenge, they're going to take matters in their own hands when it comes to justice or comes to revenge. And so Jesus is saying, they have said that, but I say unto you, in which he's going to give the better interpretation. He says, respond to evil by doing good. He says to resist not evil. Now, that's not saying that, we shouldn't stand up to evil. It's not saying that at all. But he says resist not evil. When it comes to physical abuse, he says turn the other cheek. Now, he's not talking about someone trying to kill you necessarily. He's talking about an insult. He's talking about someone who smites you on the face as a way of insult. We know in the scriptures it is okay for one to defend their own life and to defend the lives of those around them. And so he's not saying that we're to stand there and let somebody kill us and not try to defend ourselves. He's talking about, again, a physical abuse or a personal insult. And so he says there, turn the other cheek. He says if someone's going to sue you and they want to take your coat, well, give them your cloak also. Give more than what the person is suing for. When we're responding to, maybe government oppression, the Romans had a requirement that if a soldier or a Roman official went up to one who was a Jew or whatever, and they put a burden on them and made them carry it, they would have to carry it, but by Roman law, it would only be for 1 mile. And so Jesus says, go with him twain. Go over and beyond what is being demanded of you. And then in verse 42, when someone asks for help, you give them more than what they ask. You give them what they ask. And so you think about our Father in heaven, how we have insulted him, and yet he has turned the other cheek. Our sins have separated between us and God. Our sins are an affront to God, and yet he has showed mercy in that, the lightning bolt doesn't strike us from heaven. The wages of sin is death, though. And so God responded in that way. He gives us more than we demand of him, or than we require of him, or than we ask of him. And so he, in many ways, this embodies our relationship with God. When we look at the application of this to us today, In Romans chapter 12, the Apostle Paul takes this and he develops it a little bit more there, beginning in verse 17. Notice what he says there. He says, recompense no man evil for evil, provide things honest in the sight of all men. That kind of harkens back to what we talked about earlier about a better speech, being honest in our speech. And then he goes on in verse 18, if it be possible. And so notice, if it be possible implies that there may be a time when it's not possible. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, as much as it is on your part, live peaceably with all men. The Sermon on the Mount tells us, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. He goes on in verse 19, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. And so there, he kind of ties that to the next section that we're going to look at later on. And so if we're to live peaceably and be one of those blessed peacemakers who shall be called the children of God, we need to seek the better reconciliation with our fellow man and seek to do right by our fellow man and seek to overcome evil with good. Hope you have a wonderful day.